Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Derek Nepenak, Grand Chief of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. On behalf of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, I wish to express my heartfelt congratulations to the First Nations of Treaty 1 of this significant legal victory, that the Government of Canada does have a legal duty to consult when it comes to making decisions about the disposal and use of Crown lands in Treaty 1 territory. This has been a long-fought battle ever since the Kapyong Barracks closed in 2004, and the Treaty 1 First Nations took a unified stance in challenging Canada when Minister Vic Taves made the unilateral decision to sell the lands to the Canada Land Company. This is a message to Stephen Harper and his government that the unilateral actions of him and his ministers is not acceptable. Today marks a significant shift, a significant change in the fact that the First Nations people are continuing to stand up. We're continuing to protect treaty. We're continuing to make advances on protecting treaty lands in this part of the territory. We saw treaties in a different light. To them, treaties were solemn pacts, agreements establishing the future basis of relations between their people, for whom Canada is their ancestral homeland and the settler society that immigrated here. The Indigenous people of Manitoba saw these treaties about ways in which we could work together and live together for the benefit of all of us. This court challenge was to tell the Government of Canada to stop taking our lands, to stop taking our rights to sovereignty, and to stop taking away our resource equity position, and to stop denying us the economic opportunities that so many other Canadians take for granted. Any victory within our treaty territory is a victory for all of us. While First Nations must take the lead on guiding their economic future, support from the federal and provincial government is crucial. Winnipeggers need not be afraid of this court decision. This court decision is a marker along the way to greater economic prosperity for not just the citizens of Winnipeg, but all of Manitoba and all the treaty people out there. First Nations want nothing more than what was promised to us in our treaties and other legally binding agreements such as the Treaty Land Entitlement Framework. First Nations leadership want nothing more than to help their people, our people, acquire employment, housing, and all the other opportunities afforded to other Manitobans. Through these types of economic development ventures, benefits will not only accrue to First Nations people, but to the rest of the province as well. Now, with that said, I want to take this opportunity once again to congratulate the Treaty 1 communities in standing strong. You know, we had a lengthy meeting this morning and I saw a unified front of treaty chiefs standing together to protect the rights of their people. And I'm very proud and very honored to be part of that discussion. What I witnessed this morning was very powerful, and it's going to continue to be powerful as these men and women that are standing here with us continue to advance the issues for the greater benefit of their people and the future generations of our people, as was witnessed and who's in attendance here. That little baby back there is one of the reasons why we make these decisions and why we take these stands. So with that said, I'd like to introduce the Treaty 1 spokesperson in this particular matter, Chief Glenn Hudson from the Peguis First Nation. Miigwech.
Thank you, Grand Chief. Good afternoon. I'm Chief Glenn Hudson of Peguis First Nation, and I make $100,000 a year. Our rights to this land has been upheld, and certainly this court case victory solidifies that. It reminds Canadians that we have every right to this land. And certainly this is a victory not only for First Nations, but all Canadians. We're calling on the Prime Minister's office to have this land converted to the rightful owners of this land, that being the First Nations people. We want to create economic opportunities for our people. Economic development zone is what we're talking about. There's fast tracking of processes out there that are occurring that are certainly going against us, and we want to see this fast track process apply to this decision. We've always been open to negotiate. That's what treaty, that's the spirit of intent of treaty, is to work together, work in peace and harmony. And certainly this victory today certainly puts the legal framework as far as our rights to this land. And certainly we want to work with Canadians, we want to work with Manitobans, and certainly we want to work with Winnipeggers. And we've always been open to negotiating in a meaningful way. I'll state something that one of our elders state also, 98 years old in a hospital bed. This government must stop stripping us of our rights, she stated. And certainly we're here to preserve our rights, protect our rights, but also create opportunities going forward, not only for First Nations, but all Canadians. And this is who we are, the original people of this land. With that said, I'll certainly, if there are any questions, comments, I'm open to taking them. And I thank you for coming today.
Chief Hudson, I guess the biggest question beyond the success you've had in court is what you might plan to do with the land if you get it.
Well, we're looking at developing it in terms of residential, commercial development that fits within the parameters and zoning that the City of Winnipeg is looking for. I've spoken to many city councillors, the mayor, and they want to move forward with this. And certainly there's other Winnipeggers that want to move forward with this development, and we're open to that.
The second thing I'd ask you is some of the language in this court verdict is pretty strong, and takes a pretty hard swipe at the federal government in terms of its duty to consult. They use words like egregious, et cetera, et cetera. Just your reaction to the court ruling itself.
Well, the court ruling, I think, certainly is a strong one. It reiterates our position that we need to be consulted. We need to be accommodated in terms of anything dealing with our rights. And today, that's why I call on the Prime Minister's office to recognize that and respect that. And certainly this court decision is a victory for everybody.
Chief Hudson, before the court ruling, the First Nation leadership were in bargaining with Ottawa over this land. What's happened to that process? What do you see happening now?
I'll not comment on that. Certainly we have been open to negotiating in a meaningful way, and unfortunately that hasn't been followed through by government.
But negotiation, is that the route to a solution, or?
First question would be to Norma. Can you maybe just try and explain to us maybe this court decision, just in your simple words?
Well, the court decision simply says that Canada failed to meet its constitutional duty to consult with the First Nation. As a result, the court declared that the land ought not to be transferred, sell to anyone, Canada Lands Corporation or any other entity, until such time that Canada meets with the First Nation and consult them in a meaningful way.
Why was it a back and forth since 2009 and 2011? What happened maybe? Why are we there today?
Well, why we're here today, at the outset, Justice Campbell rendered a decision. The decision, according to the Federal Court of Appeal, was not sufficiently detailed for the Court of Appeal to render an appeal decision on it and send it back to the trial level. Now we have Justice Hughes reaching the almost same decision, and Justice Hughes also came to the conclusion that Canada failed its constitutional duty to consult with the First Nation. So that's where we're at right now, and I think the First Nation is in a good position. The citizens of Winnipeg are also in a good position. This is a total win-win situation for everyone. The First Nation will reach their aspiration to as a First Nation, and the citizen of Winnipeg will also see a resolution of this impasse.
Isn't this just a partial victory, though, because the court is saying there was not enough consultation? It's not saying, well, you get the land and you can do what you want with it.
This is a total victory for the First Nation. The notice of application, which was filed because Canada failed to meet its constitutional duty to consult. The First Nation have now reached a total victory on that point. Canada, the court declared that Canada failed its constitutional duty to consult. This is what the First Nation wanted, and this is what they got.
But I mean, they still can't just, it's not theirs officially right away, it's just.
With the duty to consult, there's also a duty to accommodate the aspiration of the First Nation. That duty to consult does not just come on its own. There's also a duty to accommodate, and that duty to accommodate will meet the aspiration of the First Nation.
And I just want to expand on that our treaty land entitlement agreements that we have in place that Canada has signed states the obligation to provide us with federal surplus land. This is federal surplus land, so this land is ours.
Is there any chance legally that the federal government can appeal the decision?
Well, certainly. They've appealed it once, and I don't expect that they'll shy away from that. They'll appeal it again. But as Norman indicated, we won in the trial court for twice now. And how many times do we have to prove ourselves that we have every right to this land?
What do you expect to happen there? Say 5 years from now, what do you expect that site to be like?
There's residential development, commercial development, sky-rise apartments. There's much-needed housing within the city of Winnipeg, and certainly that's what we expect to do with it, to provide this not only to our people, but certainly all Winnipeggers.
But negotiations still would have to happen. You guys have alluded to that. How easy could all this be?
Well, certainly I think we've always been open to negotiating, so the ball is back in the federal government's court, and we are a people that have a treaty process in place, and we want to sit down and negotiate and have those meaningful discussions.
Chief Ipanak, anything to clarify or add?
Just to reiterate what was said earlier, I think the Harper government has received the message that, the Treaty 1 First Nations, the leadership and the people are going to stand strong on what they believe to be fundamental understandings of the treaty. It's not about winning court cases, but it's about arriving at a solution that's going to benefit everybody within the treaty relationship, and that includes the broader non-Aboriginal community and the settler societies that live in the province of Manitoba. I think that what's very important for people to recognize is that while the Harper government seems to be fast-tracking legislation that's greatly impacting our communities, they have held up this process, and they've continued to take it into the court system when the communities and the people are ready to resolve this problem very quickly. They want to expedite the issue for the benefit of everybody. And I think every Canadian has a responsibility to pay attention to what's happening here today. So that's my additional comment, if that's all right. Thank you.